Parasyte the Maxim Episode 9, Beyond Good and Evil. Now, I knew that Yuko was going to get in trouble because of her attraction to Hideo, but I wasn't expecting it to happen the way that it did. I didn't think she'd be getting information from her brother, who we find out in this episode is actually working on the Parasyte case. Like, there are actually even cops considering that this stuff is happening. And I guess that makes sense because there would be more than just Shinichi's father as a survivor. That makes perfect sense. But every time they talk about it, and every time we see them, it's kind of just like, well, they basically move at light speed when they're killing people. So it's like I never even thought, oh yeah, there would most likely be other witnesses out of billions of people on Earth, even though obviously they're only a set few that are encountering the parasites. When they did that, I was like, oh, I guess that makes sense. I never considered that there would really be any other survivors in those types of situations, but I guess it makes perfect sense. And so Yuko is getting way closer. I mean, it basically, what I thought was going to be like 2 or 3 episodes was one episode, and she's like, okay. She's following this guy, some weird stuff happens, she follows him again, he gets hit in the head with the baseball and his head dents in, then she follows him another time, he turns into someone else, and then she finds the drawing, or she thinks back on the drawing, and then she kind of confronts him, and she may or may not get killed. And I, of course, hope that she doesn't. I hope Shinichi is fast enough and he gets to whatever room and floor that they're in / on, and he's able to save her from Hideo. And I guess if he is there, whether he is or not able to save her, I think Hideo's done as a character by the next episode either way. I would have to assume he's going to just wipe him out. Migi's awake, so that, of course, helps. Hideo in this episode figured out, of course, super quick once again, he figured out what was happening with Migi, that things are pretty off, where Migi would be asleep much more than normal. So, he figured that out real fast. Shinichi, of course, when he thought Hideo was about to attack the gang members, he jumps over the wall, and it's just like, okay, that's weird. That's another little tab for Hideo. Like, all right, something is so different about this guy. So he figured out a bunch of stuff in this episode, and it was just crazy. It was a really fun episode because of how fast paced it was. It was like Yuko is figuring out all this stuff in just this one episode, and then it leads up to this crazy ending, and then we have sort of the emotional side of things, where we see more of Shinichi changing. And we get a flashback to like the old Shinichi, and it was like, man, it's weird, like to hear him kind of with his older voice again, and where he's kind of more upbeat and nervous and stuff, and then to have it go back, and it's just like he's very plain and things, and he and Murano are not having the best relationship at this point, and then he's like really freaking out a lot in this episode because of Hideo and sort of the murderous intent. He's so on edge whenever he sees that guy or even hears about him. He's swearing and stuff, and like the ending was kind of funny because he's just like, son of a bitch, and he just yells it in class, which when that happened, I was like, he's just yelling in class, and then the episode went off. I was like, crap, I didn't realize that the episode was already over, and which I think the show does a lot. I'm like, oh man, and then it ends. I think this anime has like some of the best cliffhangers for its episodes I think I've seen in an anime, where it's just like it always ends right at the peak, and it's like, crap, I thought it was about to happen, and then it's the end. But, he yells at Murano to tell her to shut up, and so she's, kind of done with him, basically. And really there's no way for him to really fix it because of his change. Like, he knows that he's different as a human being. He's not going to really go back and apologize to her or anything like that. He's just going to be like, man, that kind of sucks. He'll want to fix it, but I guess he probably would apologize because he did talk to her finally about the dog and everything, but even then, he didn't say he was sorry. He was just like, or it wasn't about the dog, it was about the other girl, and it wasn't, I guess at that point he didn't have to say he was sorry because obviously she did that just to, piss Murano off, but, I don't know, he's just in a crappy situation. He's like, he's caught between zero emotions and needing all the emotions right now to really tell Murano exactly what's happening, so it's really messed up. We have a crazy ending to this episode. I don't know if they're going to kill Yuko or what, but I don't know if Hideo's really going to be dragging things out or anything. Hopefully whatever she had in that bottle, I'm assuming it would have to be some sort of acid, in a jar. hopefully she tosses it and he just, slices it unknowingly, like, oh, that's not going to do anything. And it kind of burns him, so it freaks him out, and that gives Shinichi enough time. But it would suck if she died. I mean, I know personally we don't really know anything about her. The only characters we know about are Shinichi, Migi, and Murano, really more than anyone. And Hideo actually has gotten like a lot of content just in the 2 episodes he's even been in. But I don't know. I'm definitely looking forward to it. We did have a pretty crazy scene with Ryoko talking to like some mysterious figure. He was almost like it was almost like she was talking to like some head of like a secret organization or something. It was really weird how they did it, and they didn't show his face. So that means something where they don't show this random person's face. We've never seen this person, but they took the time to have it where it's all dark and stuff, and he has the light behind him, so it makes his face, look black. So I guess that person's gonna show up again, and she's talking with them about wanting to know exactly what the parasites are on Earth. I thought his example was really stupid because that was basically like Earth brought in parasites from space because humans were doing bad stuff. We're kind of running wild on the planet. I was like, that doesn't exactly correlate. They're related, but not exactly connected. Like you guys, parasites kind of just randomly came out of space, but he was kind of looking at it in a really weird sense, as if Earth actually brought the parasites on purpose. The way he thought of it, I think, was more in kind of the ideal of fate, in a sense, more than the way he actually was saying it, which I thought was pretty interesting. But I don't know what's happening there. She's talking with like, it's almost like like I said, like some head of a secret organization. So who knows what's happening there? She's definitely showing as far as having this baby. I'm sure she's gonna have it within the series. Otherwise, there'd be no point to her character in general, I think. So I'm sure we'll see that maybe not fairly soon, but I don't know, maybe in like the second half of the show, like once we get like, the second opening or whatever, we're probably going to be getting that. So I don't know, like she's definitely showing for sure. And I'm not sure it's really been too much time. It seems like she's showing a lot for someone who's only been pregnant really for like, maybe it's been a month, because Shinichi's dad was in the hospital, so I'm sure he was there for quite a while, and Shinichi had to go to a totally different island and everything. So that was definitely about a week or so, just during that span of time. So it's probably been about a month since she's actually shown up as a pregnant character. But if that is the case, that's still a lot. I think. I mean, I'm not super familiar with pregnancies, but typically a month is nothing. So I felt like she was showing a lot, which could just be a part of the whole parasite thing. But maybe it's been more time. Who knows? How all that stuff's playing out. But I'm definitely looking forward to this next one. I really hope they don't, kill Ruko off, but or Yuko. I said Ruko, but I hope they don't kill her off, because even though we don't really know anything about her, she's just Shinichi's friend. She still wanted the like nice human characters, and it's obviously the parasites who are the bad guys. And I didn't like Hideo from the beginning, because if he really was there, I'd be totally fine with it if he was honestly like following Ryoko's rules, where it's like don't kill humans and stuff like that. But we saw him kill someone in the last episode. He totally lied, like, oh, I don't feed on humans, which we know they don't need to, but they still have this weird drive to do it. And so he lied about that, obviously, and then we see him do it again in this episode, or he's about to, at least by the end of it. So I'm not really sure. And this, obviously that was because he felt like he was busted, and it wasn't like when the gang members showed up, which was a pretty interesting scene. Like he was kind of forced into that situation, like he'd have to defend himself. Which, what I find interesting is that I don't think they need to, even transform, because I believe the parasites would still have super strength since they're in the bodies, but I guess they wouldn't, because they only control the head. They just, control the movements and everything else. So I guess technically they don't have, extra strength like Shinichi does, because of the, sort of symbiosis that he has with Migi now. But I always thought that was kind of interesting. They don't really feel pain, so it should correlate to a lot more strength. Like they don't have like, broken bones doesn't really matter to them. They can just punch as hard as they want to, and they should be fine. So, they always kind of go to the just, slice and dice everybody up when I feel like parasites inside of the human bodies can just attack people normally. kind of like Shinichi does when he fights the gang member. Or, well, he just blocks, but he freaked that guy out like crazy. He was like, alright, let's get out of here. Like, he would have killed me if we actually fought. So, I kind of wish we got to see that fight scene too, though, because I was kind of looking forward to him kind of just dodging and countering and stuff again. But I love this episode. It's definitely it was a really nice, fast-paced episode. The introduction of, the cops actually looking into this, and that, of course, ties into Yuko and, how things worked with her story. So I don't know if we'll really see her brother again, but I'm sure we will, because she's tied to Shinichi, so odds are he will save her, and she'll see him transform, and then that'll kind of bring in, like, that extra layer of, you have to keep this secret, and if you don't, who knows what Miki might end up doing, and who knows what Shinichi might do, honestly. I mean, depending on how far this really goes, he could get to the point where he is just like Miki, and it's zero emotions. Like, he won't even think he needs to explain stuff. It'll just be like, well, that's not what happened. Or, maybe that'll be his explanation, like, that's not what happened. And then he'll just walk away like that's supposed to be good enough. But who knows? But I like this episode. Definitely want to know what you guys thought about it. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And of course, I want to know if you guys think Shinichi will end up saving Yuko, or if she's gonna be killed off. I personally think he'll save her, because I think it's so early in the show. It would, I mean, and plus they just killed his mom. I don't think they'll, kill off, excuse me, kill off another character, that he really cares about. And I think it would also give us a pretty cool action scene where he gets to save somebody, because so far he's technically just fought people. He hasn't really saved anyone too much. Like, I mean, he showed up with the one girl who knew what Hideo was when she thought that Hideo was Shinichi, but they didn't really have to fight or anything like that. So I kind of like to see them have a battle where he has to actually defend someone, because that would also change the way he fights, because Hideo could try to attack him and move past him to get to Yuko. So I think he'll end up saving him, or saving her, because it'll lead to the other stuff where she knows his secret, and how that'll affect Migi, and then Yuko keeping the secret or not keeping the secret and telling your brother, and then Shinichi kind of going on the run maybe. So who knows? But I want to know your speculations, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.